All right, guys. Well, glad and grateful to be able to be on this call. My name is Steve Max, and many times I've got people that say, man, Steve Max, I love how you do presentations. I love how you, express yourself, the transitions and all of that. The biggest thing I will say to you guys is, look, it comes with practice, right? It comes with practice. Um, the first time I ever did a one-on-one presentation in my old company, I had seen my mentor do it at least 50 times, 30 to 50 times. And then I went ahead and I practiced by myself as if somebody was in front of me, probably, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 times. And when I went into that first house to do my first presentation, I was nervous, but I tried my best to not show that I was nervous. And then I was confident and I followed the steps, So as you're doing it, the most important thing is to follow the rules and follow the steps and don't skip steps. Steps are there for a reason. And by the time I came out of the house, I had my very first recruit that I recruited by myself. My very first customer is what you would call it here. So what I would say is, you're going to be nervous when you first do your own presentation. It's just going to happen, okay? But don't show that nervousness, Practice. There's a saying that says, confidence comes from competence. So practice by yourself as if somebody was watching you. And then practice with somebody on your team, and if I'm available, man, practice with me. If you're a P600 or above, you guys can practice with me. I need you guys to get good at this, okay? Now, as we continue to grow as an organization, it's going to take you doing presentations. Now, what I'm about to say is very, very important. Just because you can do a presentation doesn't mean you have to. If your upline leaders are doing them, you got to schedule people for those meetings. Do not kill yourself like I did at the beginning and try to do a one-on-one presentation for every single person you talk to. Imagine you do a one-on-one presentation for a person that doesn't even want to learn how to trade or doesn't even see the value in this type of system. You just wasted your time and energy, and that was about a 1-hour call, because if you do a presentation, you answer questions, and then you find out if the customer is qualified, you just spent an hour. How many working hours do you have in a day? Plus you're learning how to trade. Right, guys, you only have about 8 to 10 hours a day to do this. If you're going at it hardcore, don't waste an hour talking to a person you don't even know if they're a qualified customer. So what you want to do is utilize, if there's webinars, utilize those webinars. PS3 to the webinar, three-way call after the webinar. Now, as your team is growing, especially around the time you get to P600, P1000, you need to start doing your own presentations. Okay, now, very important. It doesn't mean you got to close your own presentation. So especially at the beginning, if you start doing presentations and you've got 3, 4, 5 people on a call, 10 people on a call, 20 people on a call, reach out to me, reach out to another P600 leader, reach out to a chairman leader, reach out to somebody that can close the call for you, because we understand the psychology of getting somebody started. So don't do presentations one-on-one if you don't have to. I only do those with major key players. And even at that point, sometimes it's even better to let them see the presentation first so you don't waste your time, right? So don't waste your time trying to do one-on-one presentations with everybody. You should do presentations in a group setting, 5, 10, 15, 20 people. And then the one-on-one is the three-way call. That's where you get the questions answered, find out if this person's qualified to be able to even afford your product or even sees the value in your product. And that should be done on the three-way call. I have a training called The Art of the Three-Way Call that you should watch. So now let's get into the presentation. If you're doing this for the first time, you should have practiced this a lot of times. If you're doing this for the first time, you should also bring somebody in to help you close it, a veteran leader. Don't go out there and start doing presentations for your team and you've never done it before, and then you're like, man, nobody's closing. What am I doing wrong? Get coaching from somebody who's a P6, a P1, a P2, a P5, a chairman. Get coaching. The beautiful thing about the system is we all work together to help you succeed. Now, with that said, let's get into the presentation. So there's many different versions of it out there, okay? You can create your own version. I have a version that I'm gonna go over today with you that I have been doing for weeks now and actually months. And there's a reason why it's set up the way it is. Now, here's what I'll tell you is you can cut and paste yours however way you want. In the back of your home office, in the back of your website, you go to im.center, the presentation is there. Now that presentation is as long as I've been alive, okay? It'll take you 17 years, right, to get through that darn presentation. But here's the thing, you can cut it up and chop it up and just keep what you need. You don't need all of that stuff in there, but figure out your flow. See, I figured out my flow and I figured out the flow of how I want people to think. And then as my organization has grown and has evolved, I've realized that I need to change certain things. So as you're going through your presentation, figure out how you flow, figure out how you relate to the culture of your organization, and then decide what different slides you're going to keep in there. Okay, 1 second. All right, so let's do this. Yes, sir. Flow got to find the flow. So let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and take out the presentation. 1 second. Boom. So when I start the presentation, guys, okay, the first thing I do is introduce myself. So you want people to know who you are. You know, the first couple of things you say, you should introduce yourself. Hi, I'm so-and-so, and I've been trading for X amount of years, X amount of months. You know, I'm super excited because this has changed my life. It has changed the aspect of what I'm doing. It has changed the perspective of how I look at money. It's allowed me to see so many people become successful. So your intro, you just kind of want to talk about yourself a little bit, your experience, what it's done for you. And then what I usually do is I encourage them to take notes. Why? I want them to write down the stuff. I don't want them to get on a three-way call and have no idea what they just saw. I also encourage them to write down their questions. The reason is because I want them to be educated when they get to your three-way call, and I want them to be able to ask you educated questions that if you answer them correctly, they will want to get started. So I always start off the same. I put a little bit of music on. I try to keep it exciting. Guys, no explicit words. I know some of us, we love like a lot of the hip hop and stuff, and I love hip hop. I've done a lot of hip hop music and everything, and I get all that. But on these calls, you got to be very professional. Think of music that's going to balance out to everybody. Don't be putting words, cuss words, and all this kind of stuff. Okay. Also, I know you're excited, but be professional. Don't get on there screaming and acting like you're 10 years old. Okay. Be a professional, because you don't know if there's a 35-year-old person, a 45-year-old person there that has 200 grand in the bank and they're trying to learn how to invest that money. They're not going to invest it with you if that's what you're acting like. So keep it professional. Okay. Open up about yourself, put some chill music, play the video, play the music, then turn it on, then put your video on. Make sure that you look good. Make sure that you're shaven. If you're a guy, make sure girls, got your hair done, look decent. You don't have to be all dolled up, but look decent. Personally, guys, I'm not a fan of doing presentations in hoodies. I'm not a fan of doing presentations, just looking like you just played basketball. I mean, personally, I don't think that's professional, no matter how much money you make. I think that you should, a nice shirt, if you're a guy, if you got a shirt with a collar, people are going to respect you more. Now, you get started, you introduce yourself. You tell them the right questions down. You tell them that they're going to get their questions answered. From the very beginning, I'm already planting seeds for the end. What do I mean by that? At the very beginning, I'm saying things like, hey, as soon as this thing is done, I want you to get back to the person that invited you. So I'm already encouraging that. I'm already saying things like, hey, as soon as this is over, you're going to have a mentorship call where we're going to go over the basics with you. So I'm already encouraging the three-way call. I'm already encouraging them to take steps of action at the beginning of all of my calls. I'm connecting with them as well. Look into the camera. These are little subtle things that are going to help you go a long way. First slide that I start with is, how would you feel if you had total control? Now, the reason I start with this is because in the presentation, they've done a good job at trying to touch the heart of what we do. And so what I think is very important is for you to get them asking themselves questions, right? The why. Why would they even want to do this? Learning is going to take time. Recruiting is going to take time. Building a business is going to take time. Why would they even do this? So you want to really address and connect with them on the deeper level. So I use this slide to ask them, how would you feel if you had total control? Do you feel, and I ask this straight up, like, guys, when you're doing this, pretend you're talking to one person. Don't think about you're talking to 37 people. Think about you're talking to the one, and then find ways to relate to different types of people, but you're always talking to one person. Also, something that I do is I don't look directly at the camera. I'm most of the times looking at myself, because it helps me not worry about who's looking at me. Because if you guys have those little boxes with the camera on it and you're seeing all these random people, it's going to throw you off. I would just look directly at the slide or directly at myself. So I asked them, how would you feel if you had total control over your life? And now I'm asking them, hey, is your financial situation right? You know, hey, how would you feel to have total control over your finances? You know, how would it feel to have total control over your time? You know, most people, they hate it that they can't take a vacation when they want. They hate it that they can't have a weekend off. And so you want to tap into their wants and desires. You also can say things like, how would it feel to have control over how much money you could give your family, how much money you could give nonprofit ministry? So the reason that this slide is the first slide I use is because I want to tap into their heart. I want to tap into their why would they do this. I want to connect with the goals that they have for the future. All right. So whatever you start with, start with the heart. Don't start with statistics. Don't start with money. Don't start with numbers. Most people don't care about money, but they care about what money does. So you got to tap into their heart. I use this slide because it relates to a lot of people. 85% of people don't feel happy or fulfilled at their job. Do you feel happy or fulfilled at your job? You know, and then I say this, I say, you probably, 85% of people don't feel happy or fulfilled at their job. But even if you did, because maybe there's somebody on your call that they do feel good at their job, they don't want to quit their job. So then you don't bash their job. You say, well, you're here probably because you want more, which is the absolute truth. They wouldn't be on your call if they didn't want more. You know, so even though 85% of people don't love and feel happy at their job, maybe you do. Maybe you have a great job that you love and you don't want to leave, but you're probably here because you want more out of life. And then I tap into that and I say, you probably want to make more money. You probably want to, have more freedom. You want to have more flexibility. You want to impact more people. Well, if that's you, right, then you need to figure out how you want to make more money. Now, listen to this. This is important because people always say, Steve, I love how you transition. Look at how I transition. When I started off on the first slide, I'm saying things about how would you feel if you had total control? How would you feel if you had more time? How would you feel if you got paid more? That leads me into this because who's controlling their time? Who's controlling their money? Well, their job, right? And this says 85% of their job. So I'm going into it now and I'm saying, but don't you want more? What if you didn't have to be at that job that you hate? Which takes me right into here. So what you're doing is you're ending the theme of one slide by kind of introducing the theme of the next slide, and you're just pressing the button. You shouldn't have to press the button to think of what you're saying next. They're going to pick up on that. What you want to do is always be anticipating what's coming next, and your words and your vocabulary and your sentences are just going right into the next slide. It should just kind of flow with smoothness and grace, right? And you're always getting them thinking. Sometimes I'll ask them questions directly, you know? Now, when I get to this slide, I say, look, 60% of people work for someone else. Now, again, we don't bash jobs. So this is what I say, and that's okay. We all need to make money. We've all been there. Now I relate it to them. And then 35% of people, they smarten up. And then I talk about how even doctors or lawyers, they're just self-employed. They're not in control of their own time, right? So in our minds, in society, we've been trained that doctors and lawyers and dentists and all these people, they make all this money. Yeah, but if they get in an accident, if they get injured, if they get sick, guess what will happen? They won't be able to pay for their bills next month, right? So we got to make sure that we talk about that. At self-employed people, they're still limited. So now we've talked about how regular jobs are limited. We've talked about how being self-employed is limited. So guess what? We need to learn how to be like the top 5%. And by the way, we're going to talk about that tonight, right? You see, 4% of people, these are people that become business owners. These are people that have money or a system working for them even while they're not there, right? And so many of us, even on this call, have been able to experience this power of having a residual income coming from a business. And then you can ask them questions like, wouldn't you like to have a business? Wouldn't you like to make residual income? Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? And you're asking them questions. Again, the point is you're getting them thinking. And then I talk about, listen, and then we want to learn how to be like the top 1%. These are the Warren Buffetts and the Bill Gates, and listen, the top 1%, you know what they learn? They learn how to make their money make more money. Their money multiplies money. So how powerful is that? So we're getting them to squeeze into that top 5% bracket of thinking. And then we tell them that we have the solution on how to help them get there. Now I'm going to take a quick pause. Something that Jason said to me, or Matt Rosa said to me, or Mike said to me, I forget who it was. It was Mike Sotero. He said at the beginning, if I want to talk about residual income, what I talk about on the presentation is I talk about who here would like an extra $600 a month. And then he says, drop a 1 in the chat box. Boom, 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 right? And then he says, I'm going to show you at the end of the presentation how to make $600 a month. And then what he's talking about is Platinum 600. So he actually plants a seed. You could also plant a seed here. Hey, wouldn't you want to be like the top 4%? Wouldn't you like to become a business owner? Hey, if you would like to make just an additional maybe $600 to $1,000 a month, right? And have a system that makes money, whether or not you show up tomorrow for work. How many of you guys would like that? And then disable the chat box or enable the chat box, let them press it, and then disable it again. Guys, if you're having big Zoom calls, you know, what I would say is disable the chat box. We've already seen you get these negative jokers inside the chat box. So what I'm doing now is I'm disabling the chat box on every presentation call. Now, when I get to the end of this, this is what I talk about. We're going to focus on this 1% today. This is going to be the main thing that we talk about. Okay. Now, let me ask you this. If you're going to invest, would you want to invest in a small market or a big market? Would you want to invest in a market that's only open a few hours a day? Would you want to be involved in a market that's open 24 hours a day? Right? Would you want to be involved in a market that you only make money when the value goes up? Or would you want to be involved in a market that makes money whether the market is good or bad, if it's in a good economy or if it's in a recession? And obviously in their mind, they're already thinking all of the things that lead to what? The Forex market. You see, I already led us to that next slide in what I'm saying. Now, when we get here, I say, well, welcome to the Forex market, okay, which is called the foreign exchange, FRX for short. And this is the biggest market in the world. You know, this is where all the banks are trading money. You know, you may not know this, but you've actually been involved in the Forex market for as long as you've been alive. You know, as long as you've been depositing money in a bank account, your bank has been trading this money on the foreign exchange. So I start making it relatable. I say things like, you know, the Forex market has been around longer than you've been alive, because they may think, oh, this is something new. This is some kind of fad. This is some kind of scam. So what you want to do is put that all to sleep by saying, no, this has been around. This is absolutely normal. And there's a lot of people that are already participating in this market. And then I go to the benefits. Guys, this is a $5.3 trillion market. And I always relate it to the stock market, which is what they know, so that you can then magnify how great the Forex market compared to the stock market. So listen, the stock market moves in hundreds of billions of dollars a day. But guess what? The Forex market moves in over $5 trillion a day. You know, how powerful is that, right? It's a huge difference. In fact, it's so big that everybody watching this today could be absolutely financially well off, financially free, and the Forex market wouldn't even pay attention. That's how big this market is. It's also open 24 hours a day. You see, the stock market's only open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., which means while you're at work, right, the markets are running. And then when you get off work, the markets are closed. But what if we can show you a market that's open 24 hours a day that you can listen with? And now this is where I get to relate to people. Because you see, you got to start thinking about what people hit you with as far as their objections. What do they say? I don't have time. Well, listen, this is a market that when your kids go to sleep, you could still be involved in this market. This is a market that before your family wakes up in the morning, you can be involved in. You see, this is open 24 hours a day. So whether it's early in the morning, late at night, and then I relate it to them, even on your lunch break, you can participate in this Forex market. Now, I get into this, right? This is a slide that I've created, okay? You could go right to TradingView and show them on your TradingView if you want, or you can ask for my presentation and you can use this exact slide. But I like to talk about the power of a pip. Now, what I've done is I've dumbed this down and simplified it, and I call it points. And I even relate it to a video game because everybody knows video games, you got to catch points. So this is how I talk about pips. And for all those that are like smart traders and, oh, those aren't points, those are pips, and points are something different, I will say this. I'll say, and listen, they're actually called pips. But for the sake of this illustration, I don't want to confuse you. We're going to talk about points, right? So I make sure that if there's somebody who knows about trading, I mention that because I want them to understand I'm not an idiot. I'm actually talking about points because it's more relatable. You said the word pips. That word seems weird to new people, right? So this is how I do it. Get to this slide. And I say, listen, this is what the foreign exchange looks like. You see, it's pricing going up and down. And in this price, you know, you have the United States dollar versus the Canadian dollar. And most of what we trade in Forex is just one currency for another. If you've ever gone to another country before, you know, you've probably had to exchange your money for their money. Now I talk to people that have never gone to another country and I say, or maybe you want to go to another country in the future. You know, maybe you want to visit Europe. Well, when you get there, you have to exchange your money for their money. And there's what's called an exchange rate. And then what I tell them is, you know, and in that exchange rate, that's where there's profitability for you to be able to make money. You see, in the Forex market, it's so powerful because you don't have to go out there and buy 1,000 euros or 100,000 euros and then wait for the price to go up and then sell them. No, no, no. What we do here is we make money on the currency exchange rate. As that rate moves up and down, you can make money. And look how simple it is. It's just like a video game. You want to catch as many points as possible. So let's say the market was going up and it goes up 100 points. Well, you could do that trade at 10 cents a point. And my friends, if you catch 100 points and the trade goes up if you catch 100 points and you do it at 10 points and that trade goes up, you just made $10. Catch 100 points, do it at $1. My friends, you just made $100. And do that same trade, 100-point trade, and it goes up at $10 a point. You put it at $10. You learn how to do this. You grow your account. On the same trade, you made 10, and then you made 100. You can make $1,000. Now, let me ask you this. How powerful would it be if you could make $1,000 from your phone? And then I tap into their psyche. If you could learn how to make $1,000 from your phone, would you see that as something valuable? Would you see that as something worth learning, right? And then I mentioned to them, guys, how powerful is it? The same way that you can make a $10 trade, a $100 trade, a $1,000 trade, when something goes up in value, you could do the same thing here when it goes down in value, right? And then I explain the same thing. Listen, if you catch 100 points on the way down, at 10 cents, it's 10 bucks. At $1, it's 100 bucks. 100 points at $10 a point, guys, that's $1,000. So what we want to teach you, and this is what you need to learn, is literally how to catch the moves in the markets, how to know when it's going to go down, how to know when it's going to go up. That's what we want to share with you here tonight. That's the power of the Forex market. And again, everybody's participated in this. If you've ever gone to a country or want to go to another country, any money that you've ever deposited in your bank has been traded on the foreign exchange. And how much has the bank paid you? Now I get them angry at the bank. How has the bank paid you? You know the banks only pay you less than 0.25%. Guys, what if you can make 3, 4, 5, 10% in a day? Results not guaranteed or typical, but it's possible, right? And I always talk about that. It's possible. Listen, you want to talk to their heart and their mind about the future of what's the possibility. Don't make guarantees. Don't start telling them they're going to be financially free in a month, but talk to them about the truth. What is the truth? If they learn how to catch these moves, they can make money. Then I transition because I want to talk about cryptocurrency. I want people to know the different academies that we have so that maybe you never know, there may be something that attracts them that the Forex market doesn't. So I talk about, there's another market growing towards $1 trillion. It's becoming a global form of payment. Now, what I do here is I remove the focus off of Bitcoin because so many people have a negative mentality towards Bitcoin. So what do? I relate this to things that they know. What do they know? Guess what? They know Chase Bank. Did you know that Chase Bank is creating their own cryptocurrency? They know Facebook. Did you know that Facebook is creating its own cryptocurrency? And the US government, did you know that the US government is thinking of making their own digital currency? So I relate that to them. Guys, it's becoming a global form of payment. Chase Bank is getting involved in this. Facebook is getting involved in this. Even the US government now is getting involved in this. And what is it? I lead it to the next slide. It's digital currencies. Maybe you've heard of it. Now I'll throw in Bitcoin a little bit and I'll say, you've probably heard of Bitcoin, right? Started in 2009. Well, here's the thing. I don't care if you like Bitcoin or you don't like Bitcoin. If you've heard negative things or positive things, it's changing the way that money works. And now there's a technology called blockchain. It's the most powerful technology in the world when it comes to finances. And now everybody's getting involved. There's over 1,000 cryptocurrencies around the world right now. Did you know that? Well, listen, you got to get this information because the world is changing. FOMO, fear of missing out, tapped into that. The world is changing. Don't let it slip by you without you taking part of this financial revolution. Well, how does a person do this? Again, leading to the next slide. How would a person, be able to tap into this information and know that it's from a valuable source? Well, this is the thing. We've partnered with a powerful platform called I Am Academy. It's learning simplified. You see, we want to take the things that are complicated and make them simple. Now, what I do here is I edify the platform. I talk about this platform has been around going on 7 years. We have close to 200,000 students around the world. So you see, you want to make sure that they understand this is not something with 100 people on it. This is something with almost 200,000 people, right? In every continent in the world. You want to paint the picture really big, right? Because when people know that other people are doing it, it just makes them feel more comfortable doing it too, right? Facebook was something weird until everybody was on Facebook, right? TikTok was something weird until everybody's on TikTok now. It's just how it is. So you want to, when you get to this slide, okay, or wherever in the presentation you start talking about I Am Academy, you need to edify, you need to build it up, man. This is a powerful platform. It's the best platform in the world. I'm not just saying that. I've seen what's out there, 200,000 students all over the world, and they simplify. You want to make sure that you always refer back to the fact that if they follow our steps, it won't be complicated. And then I start talking about the different academies. You see, we give you a Forex Academy that's going to lay the groundwork for you. Tap into those people that have never learned Forex before and say something like, even if, okay, even if you've never learned anything in this Forex Academy, you're going to be able to learn the most basic of basic things, the history of Forex, where did it come from, who participates in it, and how you can begin to learn more. Then you're going to talk about digital currencies. Listen, if you want to know the wave of digital currencies, this is where to do it. This is how to do it. This is how to learn it. And then I do this. Now, this is where I put in HFX. And listen, we have a big HFX movement happening in Canada. A lot of our Hispanic teams love HFX, right? You can use it at your discretion if your team uses HFX or not. Now, if you're going to use the HFX slide, okay, understand that, you got to know a little bit about how to help people get started on this or whatever. But here's why HFX is good. If you run into people that don't want to learn a whole lot of charting and stuff, HFX is really simple. Okay, it's an easy way for them to get in the game, get excited, and their live trading is simple. So that's why I've kept this in here, okay? But if you don't want to have this portion, that's okay. Now let me explain how I explain HFX. So I just came out of the slide with Forex and digital currencies. I had already explained that. Now I flow right into HFX and I say this, listen, we also have something called high frequency Forex. It's based on the same market as the regular foreign exchange. But here's what's awesome about this. You see, I believe this is the simplest form of trading. All you got to do, and then I have a screenshot of the broker, and I say all you got to do is press the green button, and if the green button if the price goes up and you press the green button, you make money, and if you press the red button and the price goes down, you make money. How simple is that? Listen, if you want more information on this, get back to the person who invited you to this webinar. So depending on your team's culture, if you guys are doing high frequency Forex, then you can kind of figure out, is a person going to go into standard Forex training or into high frequency Forex training? Now I will tell you the positive to high frequency Forex is that in their academy, they have over 90 videos. And in the beginning of the high frequency Forex, they still learn Forex basics. So don't feel like if you put somebody on HFX, they're not going to know anything about Forex. They still will get education. All right. That's up to you and your discretion in your organization. So again, I went through the different academies. I end with HFX and I transition immediately to this. So with the press of a button, you can make money using HFX. Green button, if it goes up, you make money. Red button, if it goes down, you make money. Now check this out. Here's the beauty of this. You don't have to do this alone. Transitional statement. You see, we have over 100 live educators that are going to teach you exactly when to get in and out of these trades. So no matter what you're trading, right? I transitioned out of HFX. Now I'm just talking about general. No matter what you're trading, what if you can go online and trade with people in real time? And then I compare it to something that they understand. You see, we've got the Netflix or the Hulu. I used to call it cable TV, but now streaming services are more popular. So I would say Netflix or Hulu. We've got the Netflix or Hulu of trading. Imagine at your fingertips, anywhere that you have internet access, on your phone, your computer, your tablet, you have over 100 live educators that are trading in real time, and then I've related to them over 24 hours a day. So whenever you're free, you're going to be able to tap into this education. And these aren't people just teaching you theory. I talk down university education. You see, there are a lot of colleges and universities, they teach you theory. Our educators teach you in real time. These are people that have been vetted, and we have made sure that they are expert traders. They do this for a living, and then they give you their strategies and, yes, even their trade setups. And so you want to continue to enforce the fact that these people on the live are giving them trades. So a person that doesn't even know how to trade can get in this and literally learn how to trade with them and take the same trade setups at the same time, right? So that's how I talk about this portion. Then I transition and I say this. Well, we don't just want to give you education. We want to help you implement the education and give you automation. You see, we've got over 12 scanners, which we do. We have over 12 scanners, right, with artificial intelligence built in, and these are your weapons in the marketplace. So that when you start trading tonight, by the way, listen to your verbiage, assume that they're getting started. You see, when you get started tonight, when you get access to your platform today, right, like build that in. So in their psychology. Also, guys, something that you can do is nod your head, right? When you begin to nod your head in these presentations or when you're doing a three-way call, it brings kind of an energy of positivity and agreement. So I'll say, listen, imagine you get started today, right? Smile in the camera. Imagine you get started today and you got access and you want to learn, but man, you don't know how to trade. Well, listen, you're going to be able to go on here and literally, you can have a scanner that's going to give you the trade setup slide. We have over 12 of them. One of my favorites, I edify the harmonic scanner, and I have a picture here of the harmonic scanner. One of my favorites is the harmonic scanner. You see, it actually gives you the trade setup in real time. So if you notice, it gives you a few little numbers on the side. And here's the great thing. All you need to do is copy and paste that information, okay, into a trading app, and you're in the trade. It's that simple. And then I talk about this looks a little confusing, right? You want to understand that when they see this for the first time, it could be a little threatening to them. So you say something like this: look, I know that as you're looking at this, it could seem a little complicated. It could seem like, man, could I ever understand this? But guess what? In our educational platform, we're going to teach you what all this means. See, it's actually not that complicated. So we're going to give you the education. But right now, all I want you to know is those little numbers on the side where you see entry, TP1, TP2, TP3, those are the numbers that you need to trade. That's it. It's that simple. You're going to be able to do this anywhere that's on your phone. Now, let me give you guys two things that I haven't mentioned, but up to this point, I would have already mentioned them. Number one, I talk about at some point in my presentation how they don't have to be in front of a computer all day. Because a lot of times when people think about trading, they think about, man, I'm going to have to be on a computer 5 hours a day and all this stuff. So you want to dumb that down and knock that out and make sure that they know that you don't got to be in front of a computer all day. You're going to be able to do a lot of this right from your phone. And listen, I've got people that they trade 30, 45 minutes a day, which is absolutely true. Okay, just copying and pasting signals, right? And some people, it's not even that much because when they copy and paste the trade, it's in their phone and they're going about their business. So make sure that at some point in your presentation, you address the fact that when we trade, you don't have to be in front of a computer all day. The second thing that you should have addressed by this point, or make sure you address it at some point in the presentation, talk to them about the fact that they're going to start with a demo account, because people become afraid, number one, that they got to trade real money right away and they can lose it. So encourage them and say, listen, you're going to actually be able to start with a demo account, right? So the minute that you get started, you actually don't even got to start with real money. You're going to be able to start with a demo practice account and literally enter the trades right on your smartphone. And once you get good at the practice account, then you could decide if you want to start with real money. And here's the awesome thing. The minute that you start with real money, it doesn't take thousands of dollars. You can literally start some cases with $10, $20 in an account. I usually tell people between $100 to $200 is a great first account to start with. And the cool thing is, again, you're going to start with a practice account. So again, what I'm encouraging them in is they don't have to start with real money right away. They can learn their mistakes on a practice account. You want to talk about that. Also, one of the things that you might get as a rebuttal or a concern is they may say, man, but I got to pay $235 for the platform and I got to invest today. I don't have that much. You tell them, no. You don't have to invest anything today. In fact, all you got to do is get your platform so you can start learning. And when you're ready, then you can start putting money in a real account. So then they realize, oh, okay, my budget only has to be $235 today. Again, these are little nuances, but if you address them in the presentation, you don't have to address them on the three-way call. All right, guys? Then I transition to this. So listen, we've talked about education, top-notch academy, right? We also have over 100 live educators in many different languages available practically 24 hours a day, all of their sessions recorded. We have over 12 scanners that are going to give you access. One of them being the harmonic scanner. It comes with our most basic platform. But what if I told you? We have over 3 apps, and we do have over 3 apps because the I Am Academy app has Pip Talk. It's just not in this picture. We have over 3 apps that send trade signals right to your phone, and I'll show them the phone, right? Just as given like a little prop, and right to your phone. So imagine, and now I relate to them. You could be having dinner, you could be at the mall, you could be at the gym, you could be even hanging out on your couch and watching a show, and an expert trader sends you their trade signal right to the phone, and all you need to do is copy and paste the information. See, guys, what we've done is create a simple formula. I try to use the word simple often in my presentation. We've created a simple formula where we take the complicated and make it very user-friendly. We make it very simple for the common person that has a job, has a family, again, related to the person, can do this, right? And then I go to the closing. So here's my question to you. Now I summarize everything. So I'm asking them a question. If we can plug you into the most powerful markets in the world. And you could be a person at the top percentage of the world that knows about these markets. If we can make it really user-friendly and simple, if you could get mentoring from live educators, we can give you scanners that give you trades and even apps that send trades to your phone. If we can make it super simple, give you all the tools you need. Oh, and by the way, one of the things that I don't even have on the presentation, but it's the greatest asset that we have. I want you guys to focus in on this on your presentation. Don't just talk about what's online. Don't just talk about the products. Focus in on what I'm about to say. If we give you all of that, but we also give you access to our prestigious community of traders, where thousands of traders just like you are able to connect and get your questions answered. You see, the minute that you get started today, again, emphasizing today, the minute that you get started, we're gonna plug you into our community where people answer questions on a daily basis. We even do value-adding mentorship calls on top of everything that you've seen so that you know exactly what you're doing. And like I mentioned before, everybody that gets started gets a 30-minute coaching call, which is their launch call. Everybody gets a 30-minute coaching call. We're gonna allow you into our prestigious community of traders. So you don't have to do this alone. Many people's fear, guys, is doing this alone. So if we could give you the best platform, and we could give you the best community and plug you into a system that absolutely works and make sure that you're getting the right mentorship, do you see any reason why you wouldn't get started today? And I asked them that question, would you see any reason why you wouldn't get started today? And then I talk about this. I say, look, and now I compare it to universities. And I say, look, we know that education costs money. We know because many of us have taken out student loans and paid tens and even some cases hundreds of thousands of dollars for education. What about if on top of everything we've spoken about, we can make this affordable for everybody? What if you didn't have to get into debt for this? You see, I know a person, and this is a story from somebody a few weeks ago. I know a person that told me recently that at their university, they have a course about trading. Doesn't give them apps, doesn't give them mentorship, doesn't give them anything about real-time trading. And they charge them $3,000 for one semester. That's one instructor's philosophy on trading. We're giving you 100 professional traders, software, apps. And my friends, this isn't gonna cost you $3,000. Transitional. See, for only 200 bucks, or you could say 235, for only 200 bucks, we can get you started today. You see, our basic package is 235, and that's going to give you access to our academy. It's going to give you access to live mentorship. It's going to give you access to one of our scanners, and it's going to give you access to our community today. You can get started and plugged in trading today. Now listen, if you're like me, by the way, I don't get boring. I don't go long here. So I don't go into the different packages. I say the small package and the big package. You figure out what works for your culture. But if you're like me, and this is what I have, you can't say that if you don't have the elite, but you could say something like, but if you want everything, we've talked about a lot of different scanners. We've talked about a lot of different apps. If you want everything and you really want to go strong in this and you want to start trading live money right away, here's my recommendation to you is the Elite Pack. You see, for only $90 more, you can get the Elite Pack, and it comes with over 12 scanners, 3 apps, and all 3 academies, and you got access to everything on our platform. How powerful is that? So to this point, I've only talked about their entrance fee, right? How much it starts to get started. And then I say this, but listen, just like a university or a college, right? There's a lot of cost to running this online school. There's programmers. We have over 100 live educators. We've got software. We got all kinds of stuff. And so there is a monthly tuition. So again, I related it to something that they understand so that they understand, hey, a monthly cost is not a negative, or it's actually a necessary. And then I say this, and I don't talk about the monthly long. I talk about the startup. I emphasize the difference between the elite and the regular pack. And then I immediately, when I talk about the monthly prices, I say the smaller pack is $175, the elite pack is $275, but check this out. Our company has given you a way to get it for free. See, our company wasn't created to make profits off of people. When our CEO started this company, there were people charging $5, $10, $20, $30,000 for conferences, and there's still conferences like that out there. And so what our CEO wanted to make sure was anybody could have access to this education. Talk about how powerful this is right here. And so what our company has done, related to them, what our company has done is just like Uber, Cash App, even Postmates, when I've been ordering, food online, it always says refer a friend and you get a discount or a bonus. Just like all of that, so I related it to something that happens out in the real world. Our company has given you an option where if you refer two people to the platform, you get your subscription absolutely for free. What that means is, and I clarify this because this is always a question, what that means is if you get started today, you're going to get a unique user link. And as long as two people register with that unique user link and they stay active and paying on the platform, you're going to get free access forever. No, you don't have to find two people every month. Find two people that stick and stay, and they stay on their platform and as active paying customers, you're going to be able to get free tuition forever. And then I related to them and I say, you know what? And it's not even about that. It's funner when you do this with other people, which is true. You know, imagine when you go to the gym, you know, related to something they may know. When you go to the gym, when you play sports, is it funner to do it by yourself with somebody else? You know, we were wired, we are created to be social creatures. And so when you do this with a few friends, it's actually going to become funner and easier, and you're going to push yourself more. So guys, here's what I want you to know. We have the most powerful trading platform in the world. We give you the ability to get your tuition for free. And the question always is, what happens if you get a third person? Well, when you get that third person, guys, okay, you get the opportunity to become an independent business owner. And what that means is the company is going to take their marketing dollars related to something in the real world, marketing dollars, just like so many companies spend billions of dollars on Facebook ads and Instagram ads. And they said, you know what? We're going to pay people like you and me to be able to do this on a one-on-one basis and refer people out in the world. So instead of the company putting out all these ads, they're going to pay you, they're going to pay me to refer clients to this. Now, this is completely optional. I make sure I put that in there for those people that hate marketing. This is completely optional. And if you just want to trade, that's absolutely fine. But if you want to create a residual income, especially in the type of market that we're in right now where people are getting laid off, listen, there's been no better opportunity to refer people to a platform that helps them make money and you make money as well. Now, this is where I end it. And I'm going to show you my ending in a second. But if you want to talk about residual income, this is kind of how I would continue the conversation. And then I would say, listen, at the third person, the company now pays you $150 a month. If those three people find three people, right, that's now 12 people, the company will pay you $600 a month. And listen, grow a little bit more, guys, the company will pay you over $1,000 a month, and they pay out direct deposit every single week. So at a Platinum 1000, that's an extra $250 a week. And then I ask them this question: how much would an extra $250 a week help you and your family right now? Guys, that's a car payment. For some of you, that's most of your mortgage, your rent payment. How powerful would it be to be able to make an extra $1,000 a month? And listen, it doesn't stop there. You see, there's people making tens of thousands and above per month on this platform. At every level that you see here on the screen, there's a person in our company making that type of money. I don't focus in too hard on this, okay? And then I let it go. And then I say this: listen, you have seen enough information today to make a decision. Everything I've talked to you about today is absolutely real. And then I put it on them. But you have to make this real for you. You see, there are people making money online. There are people, the banks are making money using this information. The question is, are you going to now utilize this information? And then I say, you know, they say that education is power, right? They say the difference between the wealthy and the poor is access to information. And what I would add to that is action based on that information. So here's what I want you to do. Now you're directing them at the end. This is what I want you to do. Get back to the person who invited you to this webinar and get your questions answered. Find out the greatness of this company. Always talk about, like, cast vision. Talk about the greatness of this company, right? Get back to the person and get your questions answered. Find out about the greatness of this company, but most importantly, and here's where I slam it down, most importantly, get started. Do not, you know, if you feel what I feel, if you feel if you feel faith, if you feel belief, if you say, man, I need to get, my financial life in order, right? If you're feeling that, if you're thinking that, get in their brain. If you're thinking that right now, listen, go back and take action. Tell the person that invited you to his webinar, you're ready to get started, and my friends, get started. And then in my closing, I like for people to see my heart. I make sure that people know you care. There's a saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so when you're closing, make sure you say something like, listen, I hope that this has added value to you. I hope that you see that there's possibility, and then you encourage them. Listen, and this is what I say, I still believe 2020 can be the best year of your life. I still believe that, you can get into the best financial position that you've ever been in, regardless of what's going on in the world, talking about the COVID, talking about whatever the negative news is out at the time that you're watching this video, right? And so I make sure to say, listen, I wish you massive success. What I'm trying to tell them is, listen, I don't care if you get started with me or not. I want you to be successful. I care. I care that you win, right? And so that's how I end it. I say, man, listen, get back to the person who invited you to this webinar, get your questions answered, take action, get started. But listen, I believe in you. I care about you. Go out there, be successful. I wish you the best. And I look forward to seeing you in our community very, very soon.